Prince Institute. Exercise 175. Sir Happy Singh. Ready? Start. Sir, I very keenly listened to what Mr. Jairam Ramesh has said. In fact, he has confirmed that both the governments, whether headed by the Congress or the BJP, have been pursuing the same policies, be it their economic policy or foreign policy. Given the situation where the corporate capital and the international finance capital have tremendous influence and power on both these parties, I don't think we can alleviate or eliminate poverty in the coming years. Sir, referring to the mandate on the meaning of mandate, the leader of the House, Mr. Arun Jaitley, tried to justify how people voted. I do not question the mandate of the people. In fact, I accept the mandate of the people. But the interpretation given by the leader of the House really makes it imperative that all the political parties must think of going for comprehensive electoral reforms. That includes proportional representation system. First, past the post system which we have today has exhausted all its potential. Now we have to think of proportional representation system which has been accepted by many countries in the world. In the interest of our democracy, I think the time has come to look at this issue. Sir, on different problems, I am moving amendments. I do not want to take this time to explain those. But the government has rightly identified agriculture as one of the priority areas. At the same time, the government should have referred to the recommendations made by the National Commission on Farmers in the President's address. Sir, the HRD minister is sitting here. The President's address talks about a new national education policy. But the point is, Indian education is becoming more and more privatized and more commercialized. The 12th 5-year plan talks about PPP model as far as higher education is concerned. What will happen to the students coming from poor, downtrodden, and underprivileged sections of society? The previous government also accepted the 12th 5-year plan. The PPP model will be allowed in higher education. Now the present government talks about the same thing. Will you have a relook at the 12th 5-year plan? Sir, there is no mention of a central legislation to govern the scheduled castes sub-plan and the tribal sub-plan, and it is a demand across the country. The central government should have such a legislation. The previous government did not do it, and the present government is unlikely to do it because there is no mention of it in the president's address. There is no mention of the policy of reservation. How will it be implemented? People referred to the policy of reservation in promotions. The country is going for more and more private sector. Neoliberal policies are aggressively implemented everywhere. There is a need for reservation in private sector also. We will have to take a relook at all these issues. I welcome the move to pass the Women's Reservation Bill. Now, who is going to prevent you? You have your own absolute majority in the Lok Sabha. The NDA has absolute majority now. As per your commitment, you show your political will and determination to pass the Women's Reservation Bill. It is no use just talking about Team India. The government should really think of taking all the states together and try to solve the interstate problems. You have rightly said that a drop of water is precious in India and water resources are precious for India. Sir, I am concluding. So, in order to sort out the water problems, river water problems, including Kaveri, I think the central government should have an initiative to take governments in stride and find a solution. Sir, there is no mention of the public sector strengthening and expanding the public sector. My friend Mr. Jairam Ramesh talked about the earlier agreement. Yes, we opposed that agreement. On that issue, we had to withdraw support given to the UPA government. But my point is, because of the strong opposition from the left, the parliament could enact a Civilian Nuclear Liability Act. There was pressure from the American government, there was pressure from the French government to weaken the nuclear liability. Now I am asking the new government, are you going to follow Mr. Jairam Ramesh and the government in which he was a minister, or will you take an independent position? Otherwise, what will happen to the country? Sir, finally, there are two issues. One is the question of fishermen, and my good friend dealt with that issue. But my only simple question is this. I asked the previous government. I am asking the new government whether this government is prepared to ask the Sri Lankan government to reopen and renegotiate the bilateral agreement signed earlier. Sir, unless you do that, the government cannot protect the fishermen. Sir, the last point is the foreign policy matter, in my understanding, cannot be the monopoly of one political party in the country. Foreign policy should evolve on the basis of a consensus, a national consensus.